The massive windows of Unity Point Space Station offered a breathtaking view of the galaxy, but Ambassador James Reed wasn't looking at the stars. His eyes were fixed on the datapad in his hands, reviewing reports from Earth Command one final time. In less than an hour, he would change the course of human history. Unity Point served as the heart of galactic politics, its pristine white halls filled with representatives from over 30 spacefaring species. The station's central chamber, with its soaring crystal dome and curved rows of delegation seats, had witnessed countless debates and decisions that shaped the galaxy's future. Reed walked slowly through the corridor leading to his office, nodding politely to the tall, blue-skinned Meridian diplomat who passed by. 30 years had passed since humanity joined the galactic community. 30 years of carefully maintained neutrality in the war between the Democratic Systems Alliance and the Imperial Concordat. Ambassador Reed, a voice called out. Reed turned to see Tom Wilson, his assistant, hurrying toward him. The latest intelligence reports just came in. The Imperial fleet movements near New Eden have increased. Reed's face remained neutral, but his grip on the datapad tightened slightly. As expected, he said quietly, "They're right on schedule." Inside his office, Reed settled behind his desk and activated the secure communication channel to Earth. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the stern face of Defense Director Laura Hayes. "Is everything in position?" Reed asked, his voice barely above a whisper despite the office's security measures. Hayes nodded. "Guardian fleet is ready. Admiral Wells reports all ships are at combat readiness. They're just waiting for your signal." "And the Council? Any suspicions?" "None." Hayes smiled thinly. "They still think we're the naive newcomers, more interested in trade than warfare. The Imperial Concordat's intelligence service is particularly convinced of our military weakness." Reed allowed himself a small smile. For 3 decades, humanity had played its role perfectly. They traded, they discussed, they observed, and they prepared. While other species saw humans as diplomatic lightweights, Earth's shipyards had worked in secret, producing vessels that combined the best of human innovation with carefully studied alien technology. A soft chime indicated the approaching council session. Reed stood, straightening his dark blue diplomatic uniform. "It's time," he said. "Initiate Phase 1. As he walked toward the council chamber, Reed reflected on how perfectly the trap had been laid. The Imperial Concordat, drunk on its recent victories, had taken the bait. Their planned attack on the human colony of New Eden would give Earth the perfect justification to enter the war, not as the weak civilization they believed humanity to be, but as a fully prepared military power. The council chamber was filling up as Reed took his seat in the human delegation's booth. Around him, representatives from across the galaxy settled in for what they expected to be another routine session. The Meridian delegation was discussing trade routes. The crystalline quantum collective representatives were sharing data streams, and the Imperial Concordat's delegation sat with their usual arrogant confidence, unaware that their carefully laid plans were about to backfire spectacularly. "This council session is now in order," announced Elder Voss, the ancient arbitrator whose species had long ago sworn to maintain neutrality in all conflicts. "Our first matter of discussion is the ongoing military situation in the Outer Rim territories." Reed's communicator vibrated silently. One message appeared: "New Eden under attack. Phase 1 complete." The ambassador's face showed appropriate shock and concern as he requested emergency speaking privileges. The other delegates turned to look at the human representative, expecting the usual diplomatic protests and calls for peaceful resolution. They had no idea that humanity had already chosen a very different path. As Reed stood to address the council, he knew that within hours, the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The emergency alarms in Unity Point's human embassy blared to life at exactly 300 station time. Ambassador Reed was already awake, standing by his window as the red warning lights reflected off the station's outer hull. The attack on New Eden had begun. "Sir," Tom Wilson burst into the office, his face pale. The colony's defenses are holding, but barely. Imperial ships dropped out of hyperspace right on top of them. They're claiming it's a mistake, that they were pursuing pirates. Reed's expression hardened. Show me. The wall screen lit up with live footage from New Eden. The colony's main city was burning. Imperial warships hung in the sky like dark clouds, their weapons still hot from the initial barrage. The colony's defensive shields flickered weakly under the assault. Civilian casualties? Reed asked, his voice steady despite the rage building inside him. Minimal, Wilson replied, checking his datapad. We got lucky. The colony's early warning systems detected the Imperial ships seconds before they arrived. Most civilians made it to the bunkers. Reed nodded. Everything was proceeding according to Earth Command's predictions. The Imperials were following their standard invasion playbook. Strike hard and fast, then claim it was all a misunderstanding once the target was sufficiently weakened. Sir, Wilson hesitated. There's something else. The Imperial ambassador is requesting an immediate private meeting. He says it's urgent. I'm sure he does. Reed straightened his uniform. Tell him I'll meet him in conference room 3. And Wilson, make sure all our surveillance systems are running. The Imperial ambassador, a tall figure in elaborate military dress, was already waiting when Reed arrived. His name was Dox, and his species was known for their ability to change color based on their emotions. Right now, he was a nervous shade of green. Ambassador Reed, Dox began, I must express my deepest regrets about this unfortunate incident. Our fleet was pursuing dangerous pirates. Whoa. Save it. Reed interrupted, his voice cold. We both know exactly what this is. Dox's skin flickered to a darker green. I assure you, this is merely a military exercise gone wrong. The Imperial Concordat values its peaceful relationship with Earth. Perhaps we could discuss appropriate compensation. Compensation. Reed's laugh was without humor. Let's discuss the truth instead. Let's talk about the Imperial battle plans we intercepted 3 months ago. The ones detailing this exact attack. The Imperial ambassador's skin went almost black with shock. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course you don't. Reed stood up. This meeting is over. Earth's response will be made clear in today's emergency council session. As Dox hurried away, Reed received another encrypted message from Earth Command. Guardian fleet in position. Phase 2 complete. Awaiting your signal. The emergency council session was called for 900. As representatives from across the galaxy filed in, the massive screen showed live footage from New Eden. The Imperial delegation looked uncomfortable as images of their ships attacking the human colony played above their heads. Elder Voss called the session to order, his ancient voice echoing through the chamber. We are here to address the unprovoked attack on the human colony of New Eden. The Imperial Concordat claims this was a military exercise gone wrong. Ambassador Reed, you have the floor. Reed walked to the podium, carrying a small data crystal. His steps were measured, his face composed. In his pocket, his hand closed around a small transmitter, the signal that would launch humanity's carefully planned response. The time for playing weak was over. As Reed prepared to speak, encrypted messages flew between Earth's hidden military bases. Throughout human space, disguised weapons platforms powered up. And in the darkness between the stars, the Guardian fleet waited for the signal to begin its first war. The council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Reed stood at the podium. Above him, the screen still showed the burning cities of New Eden, while the Imperial warships loomed in the colony sky. Every species' representatives leaned forward, expecting Earth's usual calls for peace and negotiation. Reed placed his hands on the podium's smooth surface. His next words would change everything. Honorable members of the council, he began, his voice steady. For 30 years, humanity has watched this war tear our galaxy apart. We've listened to the Imperial Concordat's lies. We've seen the Democratic Systems Alliance struggle against tyranny. We've maintained our neutrality, as was expected of us. The Imperial delegation shifted uncomfortably. Their ambassador, Dox, was now a sickly shade of pale green. Today, Reed continued, that neutrality ends. A murmur ran through the chamber. Elder Voss leaned forward on his ancient seat, his crystalline eyes glowing with interest. The attack on New Eden was no accident. No military exercise gone wrong. We have proof. Reed activated his data crystal. New images appeared on the screens. Secret Imperial communications, battle plans, deployment orders. The Imperial Concordat planned this attack months ago. They believed Earth would respond as we always have, with diplomatic protests and calls for peace. Reed's hand moved to the transmitter in his pocket. They were wrong. The chamber's lights flickered as a massive hologram appeared above the council floor. It showed a vast fleet of warships, sleek, deadly vessels of clearly human design. The Imperial representatives jumped to their feet in shock. I hereby announce that Earth is joining the war on the side of the Democratic Systems Alliance. Reed's voice grew stronger, and we are not joining as the weak power you believe us to be. The hologram changed, showing more fleets, hidden bases, and advanced weapon systems. 30 years of secret military development, displayed in all its glory. While you thought we were playing at diplomacy, we were preparing. While you dismissed us as primitive newcomers, we studied your technologies and improved upon them. While you planned to conquer our colonies, we built the largest hidden fleet in galactic history. The DSA representatives were staring at the military display with a mixture of hope and disbelief. The Imperial delegation had gone completely silent. At this moment, Reed continued, the Earth Guardian fleet is moving to engage Imperial forces at New Eden. Our ships are faster than yours. Our weapons are stronger. Our soldiers are ready. And unlike you, we fight for freedom. As if to punctuate his words, new images appeared on the screens. The Imperial fleet above New Eden was suddenly surrounded by human warships appearing from nowhere, their stealth systems deactivating to reveal Earth's true power. Humanity is done watching from the sidelines. We're done pretending to be weak. And we're done tolerating Imperial aggression. Reed straightened to his full height. Let me be clear. Earth doesn't want this war. You brought it to us. You attacked our people. You believed we would bow before your power. That mistake will cost you dearly. The chamber erupted in chaos. Species that had dismissed humanity for decades now watched in shock as Earth's hidden might was revealed. The DSA delegation was already rushing to contact their leadership. The Imperial representatives were frantically sending messages to their fleet. But it was too late. On the screens, the first battles were already beginning. Human ships moved with impossible speed and precision, their advanced weapons cutting through Imperial defenses like paper. Reed's final words echoed through the stunned chamber. The galaxy wanted to know humanity's true strength. Well, now you're going to find out. Admiral Thomas Wells stood on the bridge of the EGS Thermopylae, Earth's most advanced carrier ship. Through the massive view screen, he watched as hundreds of human warships dropped their stealth fields, appearing like ghosts in the void around New Eden. All ships report ready, Admiral, his second-in-command announced. The Imperial fleet is completely surrounded. Wells nodded, his weathered face showing no emotion. For 15 years, he had commanded the Guardian fleet in secret, training his crews and perfecting tactics that no alien force had ever seen. Now, finally, they would show the galaxy what humanity could do. Open a channel to the Imperial fleet, he ordered. The communications officer nodded, and Wells spoke clearly. This is Admiral Wells of the Earth Guardian fleet. Your forces have attacked a human colony. Surrender now, or face the consequences. The Imperial commander's response was quick and arrogant. We do not surrender to primitive species who barely understand space travel. Very well. Wells turned to his tactical officer. Show them how primitive we are. All ships, execute pattern Delta. The Guardian fleet moved with perfect coordination. Ships that the Imperial sensors claimed were impossible. Too fast, too agile for their size. began an intricate dance of death. The Thermopyla's own revolutionary weapons powered up, their design based on decades of studying alien technology and improving it beyond recognition. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, "Imperial ships are charging weapons." "Let them," Wells replied calmly. "Activate the shield arrays." When the Imperial ships fired, their energy weapons met something new. Adaptive shield technology that Earth had developed in secret. The shields didn't just block the attacks, they absorbed the energy and grew stronger. In the council chamber on Unity Point, the gathered representatives watched in stunned silence as the battle unfolded on their screens. Ambassador Reed stood quietly, observing their reactions as humanity's true technological level was revealed. The Thermopyla moved forward, its massive form graceful despite its size. From its launch bays emerged swarms of fighter craft unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Small, fast ships piloted by both humans and AI systems working in perfect harmony. "This is impossible," one of the Imperial officers transmitted. "Their technology. They were supposed to be decades behind us." Wells allowed himself a small smile. "That's what we wanted you to think. All ships, deploy the Aegis systems." Around the Guardian fleet, invisible fields of nanomachines spread out, creating zones where Imperial weapons simply stopped working. Another human innovation, developed by studying the remains of alien weapons recovered over decades of preparation. In the council chamber, the DSA representatives were hurriedly conferring with their military command. The Alliance had expected to gain a new ally in humanity. Instead, they were witnessing the emergence of a superpower. "Look at their ship designs," one alien admiral was saying. "They've taken every technology they've seen and improved it. Those aren't just warships. They're testing grounds for innovations we never even considered." The battle was already ending. Imperial ships, their weapons useless and their shields failing, began surrendering one by one. The entire engagement had lasted less than 15 minutes. Admiral Wells opened a channel to Earth Command. "New Eden is secured. Imperial fleet neutralized. No casualties on our side. Minimal damage to our ships." In the council chamber, Reed received the report with a quiet nod. The other representatives were still staring at the screens, watching as human ships began helping the New Eden colony, deploying advanced repair drones and medical units that showed yet another side of Earth's hidden capabilities. The message was clear. Humanity hadn't just been preparing for war. They had reinvented it, and the galaxy would never be the same. General Marcus Stone watched from the bridge of his command ship as the combined human DSA fleet prepared for the liberation of New Eden. After the initial victory, more Imperial forces had arrived, hoping to overwhelm the defenders with sheer numbers. They were about to learn why that was a mistake. "All Space Marine units report ready, sir," his combat coordinator announced. "Operation Thunderstrike is go." Stone nodded, his scared face reflected in the view screen. "Begin the attack. Show them how humans really fight." The first wave wasn't ships, it was data. Human cyber warfare units, hidden within seemingly harmless communication buoys, activated simultaneously. Imperial communications suddenly filled with ghost signals and false orders. "Their fleet coordination is breaking down," reported the tactical officer. "They're losing formation." Stone activated the fleet-wide channel. "All units, execute attack pattern Sigma. Marines, prepare for drop." The human ships moved in perfect formation, but not in the traditional battle lines other species used. Instead, they flowed like water, adapting and changing position constantly. The DSA commanders watched in amazement as their human allies demonstrated warfare unlike anything they'd seen before. "Sir, Imperial ships are trying to regroup," called out the sensor officer. "Perfect. Launch the drop pods." From the belly of Stone's command ship and dozens of other vessels, thousands of pods shot toward the Imperial fleet. Inside each one, Space Marines in powered armor waited calmly. This was what they had trained for. Boarding actions that no one in the galaxy had ever attempted at this scale. The Imperial ships, Their sensors, confused by human ECM, didn't realize what was happening until it was too late. The pods, using technology refined from 30 years of studying alien hull designs, cut through their shields like they weren't there. In the council chamber on Unity Point, the gathered representatives watched in shock as human warriors demonstrated yet another new form of combat. The Space Marines' powered armor made them nearly unstoppable in the close confines of Imperial ships, their weapons and tactics perfectly designed for ship-to-ship combat. "Impossible," muttered one Imperial commander over an open channel. "They're boarding our dreadnoughts in mid-battle." Stone allowed himself a grim smile. "Show them how impossible we are." All units. Phase 2. The human fleet's formation shifted again, herding the Imperial ships into a carefully planned trap. As the enemy vessels tried to avoid the boarding actions, they found themselves pushed into overlapping fields of fire. In the council chamber, Reed watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The other representatives were learning that humans didn't just copy alien technology, they reimagined it entirely. "Multiple Imperial ships surrendering," reported the combat coordinator. "Their crews are abandoning ship rather than face the Marines." The battle for New Eden was becoming a rout. Human ships moved with impossible precision, their AI-enhanced crews demonstrating levels of coordination that left their DSA allies stunned. The Space Marines, meanwhile, were capturing Imperial vessels intact, adding to Earth's fleet with every victory. "General," called out the communications officer, "DSA Command is requesting our tactical data. They want to know how we develop these strategies." "Tell them we'll discuss it after the victory," Stone replied. "For now, let's finish this." The last Imperial ships were either surrendering or fleeing, leaving New Eden's orbit filled with captured vessels and debris. As human repair ships moved in to begin recovery operations, Stone received a message from Earth Command. Phase 3 approved. Prepare for full offensive. In the council chamber, Ambassador Reed smiled slightly. The galaxy was learning that humans didn't just prepare for war, they'd reinvented it completely. And this was just the beginning. The Unity Point Station's diplomatic quarter had never been busier. A week after the Battle of New Eden, Ambassador Reed sat in his office, watching as messages from previously neutral species poured in. Everyone wanted to talk to the humans now. "Another 3 systems have requested alliance meetings," Tom Wilson reported, scrolling through his datapad. "And the merchant guilds want to discuss exclusive trading rights for human technology." Reed nodded, sipping his coffee. The galaxy's political landscape was shifting faster than anyone had expected. The Imperial Concordat's reputation for invincibility lay in ruins, shattered by human forces in a single battle. "What about the Imperial propaganda broadcasts?" Reed asked. Wilson brought up the latest transmissions. The Imperial media was working overtime, trying to paint humanity as dangerous warmongers who had been secretly plotting galactic domination. Their efforts weren't working as planned. "No one's buying it," Wilson said with a slight smile, "especially after we released the footage of our Marines evacuating Imperial civilians before any fighting started. The galaxy's seen that we're not the monsters the Imperials claim we are." A soft chime announced a visitor. Helder Voss, the ancient mediator of the council, glided into the office. His crystalline form caught the light as he settled into a specially designed chair. "Ambassador Reed," the elder's voice was like wind through crystal, "you have caused quite the stir in our old galaxy." Reed set down his coffee. "Change was necessary, Elder. The Imperial Concordat's expansion had to be stopped." "Indeed." Voss's eyes flickered with inner light. "But that's not why I'm here. Several neutral species are concerned. They fear that Earth might become overly influential in galactic affairs." "You mean they're afraid we'll replace the Imperials as the next great threat?" Reed translated bluntly. "Their words, not mine." Voss tilted his head. "How do you respond?" Reed stood and walked to the window. Below, representatives from dozens of species hurried through Unity Point's corridors, the station buzzing with activity like never before. "Tell them to watch what we do," Not what the Imperials say we might do, Reed replied. Our Marines evacuate civilians before fighting. Our medical ships treat enemy wounded. We're not here to dominate. We're here to help build a better galaxy. In the council chamber, the latest session was underway. The Imperial delegation, much reduced in size, was protesting the illegal seizure of their ships by human forces. Their complaints were met with little sympathy. The Empire attacked a civilian colony, the DSA representative was saying. Humanity responded with both power and mercy. Perhaps the Imperials should learn from their example. More messages arrived by the hour. The merchant guilds were already reverse engineering captured Imperial ships, marveling at how human technology had improved upon their designs. Military experts from various species were studying footage of the battle, trying to understand how human tactics had so completely changed the face of space warfare. Sir, Wilson interrupted. Defense Director Hayes is calling. It's marked urgent. Reed activated his secure terminal. Hayes appeared, her expression serious. Ambassador, we've detected large Imperial fleet movements. They're consolidating their forces for a major counterattack. As expected, Reed nodded. They're following the same strategy they used against the Orion cluster last year. Are our preparations ready? Admiral Wells reports all units in position. The trap is set. Reed smiled slightly. Once again, the Imperials were underestimating humanity's planning ability. They still didn't understand that every move they made had been predicted and prepared for years in advance. Very well, he said. Initiate Phase 4. Let's show the galaxy what else humanity has been hiding. The final battle didn't happen where the Imperial Concordat expected. Their massive counterattack fleet, comprising over 2,000 ships, dropped out of hyperspace into what they thought would be a perfect ambush position. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by not just human ships, but vessels from a dozen previously neutral species who had joined Earth's cause. Admiral Wells stood on the Thermopyla's bridge, watching as the trap closed. All ships, execute final protocol. Show them everything we've got. The human fleet had kept a few surprises in reserve for exactly this moment. New weapons activated, technologies that had been hidden even during the Battle of New Eden. Quantum disruption fields, gravity manipulation systems, and temporal distortion generators, all perfected over decades of secret development. In the council chamber on Unity Point, Ambassador Reed watched the tactical display with the gathered representatives. The Imperial fleet's formation was already breaking apart, their supposedly superior technology rendered useless by human innovations. Impossible. The Imperial commander broadcast on all frequencies. Your species is too young for such weapons. Age doesn't equal advancement, Reed replied calmly from Unity Point. You had centuries of space travel and became stagnant. We had 30 years and never stopped innovating. The battle was brief but decisive. Imperial ships found their weapons neutralized, their shields useless, and their engines disabled by technologies they couldn't even understand. The Space Marines, now joined by elite troops from allied species, began their boarding actions. Within 2 hours, the mighty Imperial counterattack had become the Empire's final defeat. Imperial High Command is sending a message, Tom Wilson reported to Reed. They're requesting immediate peace talks. Reed shared a look with Elder Voss, who had watched the entire battle in silence. The ancient mediator's crystalline form sparkled as he nodded slowly. Tell them we accept, Reed said. On one condition, the peace conference will be held on Earth. The announcement sent shockwaves through the galactic community. No major peace conference had ever been held on a young species homeworld before, but humanity was rewriting a lot of old rules. 1 month later, Reed stood at a podium in the newly constructed Galactic Peace Center in Geneva. Representatives from every spacefaring species filled the grand hall, watching as he prepared to address them. Today marks a new chapter in galactic history, he began. The Imperial Concordat has agreed to full disarmament. The Democratic Systems Alliance is being reformed into the Galactic Cooperative, with Earth as a founding member. But this is about more than just peace. He gestured to the massive windows showing Earth's blue skies and green forests. Humanity joined the galactic community as students, learning from older species. We studied your achievements, learned from your mistakes, and prepared for a day we hoped would never come. When war found us anyway, we proved that age and power aren't the same thing. The assembled delegates murmured in agreement. Many were already working with human scientists and engineers, amazed by Earth's unique approach to technology and warfare. But now the real work begins, Reed continued. We've proven we can fight. Now let's prove we can build. Earth pledges its technology, its innovation, and its determination to creating a better galaxy for all species. As Reed finished speaking, news arrived from the Thermopylae. The last Imperial holdout systems had surrendered. The war was officially over. In the Geneva night sky, ships from dozens of species glowed like new stars. Humanity had emerged from obscurity to become a leading power in just a few short months. But as Reed watched the celebrations begin, he smiled knowing that this was just the beginning. The galaxy had learned not to underestimate humanity. Now they would learn why humans made such valuable friends.